that their sound system sucks. Thank you.
And if I yelled that loud for that long, I'd be hoarse for the rest of the day. Wanted to thank John Pierce. He's on the board now, and he's an attorney, and he's done a lot of the drafting of bills for VCDL. He does a lot of the legal stuff. Pat Webb on the board, Jim Snyder, the vice president. Again, these people have been working hard to help pull this together. Tess Elshire, Ken Van Wyck did the overview of the teams. Bob Sadler helps me lobby in the General Assembly. A lot of people to thank. And we got a lot of good speakers today too, so we're going to move right along. Okay, all right, we're going to try to move this.
Watch your phone.
Okay. We're going to see if we can elevate this. Okay, all right. Turn the volume up a little bit more. Okay, is that a little bit better?
Yes.
Okay.
It can't be worse.
Never underestimate. Okay, first, I would like to have Brandon Howard speak. Brandon is with Right to Keep and Bear Arms Richmond, and we've done some things. I've done some things with Brandon. He's also a VCDL member, as well as being very politically active in the Hopewell area. Brandon, say a few words.
Thank you, Phil. As Phil said, my name is Brandon Howard. I'm one of the founding members of Right to Bear Arms Richmond. I'm out with my colleague, Mr. Reggie Bowles. Where you at, Reggie? Over there by the big oak tree. We founded this organization about 5-6 years back. We're a bunch of individuals who were just walking around the area carrying long guns, educating people. And we all got together and became an organization. And we do education through open carry across the Commonwealth. What I'm going to talk to you today, there's a reason I open carry, and I'm a very staunch supporter of open carry. November of 2005, I just moved here to Virginia, had my concealed carry permit, and I live in Hopewell area. One night I went into Petersburg to get dinner at a Chinese takeout, right there on the corner of, if anyone knows the area, 36 and Crater Road. Went in, ordered my food, came out of the restaurant. There was a young kid, 16 years old, about 10 feet away from me holding a knife, telling me to give me his money. Back in those days, I was a very heavy believing concealed carry. So I was carrying my handgun in my shoulder holster under my jacket, being November, it was cold. So when the kid demanded my money, I reached into my jacket, pulled out my firearm, pointed it at him, fully ready to pull the trigger if I needed to, and I simply told him the words, "You move, you die." I probably saved that kid's life that day, because I did not need to pull the trigger. At that point, the kid dropped his knife, he wet his pants, and he stood there at gunpoint until the Petersburg Police Department showed up and took him into custody. Now, if I did not have my firearm under my jacket that day, that kid could have very well took that knife and ended my life. So that firearm that I carried on my person for my self-defense saved my life that day. Would very well potentially save my life that day. If we do not get out and tell people, tell our legislators what we feel, they will take our rights away from us. And how do we do that? First and foremost, if you're not registered to vote, you need to get registered to vote. There are people out in this crowd right now registering voters. That's how we tell our legislators through our vote what we believe in. I tell you the other side, they do the same thing, and they outnumber us. If you don't get out and you don't get your families registered to vote, you don't get your friends registered to vote, our rights will be taken from us. And that's a guarantee. Because you see all those people who are up on that hill, that's exactly what they're doing. So there are a few people out in the crowd today registering voters. If you're not registered, seek them out. Get yourself registered. If you've had a name change, or if you've moved from where you lived before, where you were already registered, you have to change that on your voter registration. You can do that at the DMV. You can do that with one of these individuals out here doing voter registration today. They'll help you do that. You can do it online, but you have to make sure your voter registration is current, and you have to make sure in November you get out there to that poll and you cast that ballot. You got to make sure you take your neighbor, your family members, everybody you can to that poll. If you don't want your rights taken from you, you have to vote. Now, Phil said that there are some other things I do. I am the chairman of the Republican Party for the city of Hopewell, Virginia. I also am the coordinator for the Trump 2020 campaign for the 4th Congressional District. It takes activists on the ground to protect our rights. You got to do the hard work. You got to put in the effort. You don't put in the effort, we're going to lose those rights that we so dearly cherish. If we lose that right to defend ourselves, and I was unable to carry my firearm that day, I could be very well dead, not standing here right now. Now, with that incident is when I decided to open carry. And I've been open carrying ever since. Why do I open carry? Very simple. Criminals are like water. They take the path of least resistance. They see you have a means to defend yourself. That is a deterrent. They're going to go to the easier target. Make yourself that hard target. That's why I open carry. That's why I advocate open carry. We have to educate the people. It takes hard work, and we're the people who have to do it. Because the other side, they're doing the exact same thing, and they're beating us. Look what happened to our General Assembly last election. We won because someone drew a coin out the hat. That's the only reason the House stayed Republican. By one vote, could have changed the entire makeup of the House of Delegates. It is our responsibility. The governor, we are governed with our consent. We need to take our consent back and start letting our government govern in the way we see fit, not the way they see fit. So, just to wrap it up, register to vote, get out and vote. Your vote counts, your vote matters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brandon. Next speaker is going to be, that was a Brandon, now we got a Brendan. Brendan Mooney is an executive member of the organization, and he just became an executive member fairly recently. He's extremely active, and one of our younger executive members. We think it's very important that we reach out to younger and younger people. There's too many out there that have gray hair like I do. So, Brendan?
What hair?
I got blue.
Hey, good morning, guys, or good afternoon, guys. And what Phil said, yeah, he may have gray hair, but he's one of the best people I've ever seen to actually go forth and do our right. So let's give it up for him, guys. Give it up for him. So, I'm not going to be up here giving a rah-rah, let's take over the government kind of speech. What I'm going to be doing is how many people here own guns? Raise your hand. Yeah. All right, great. All right, how many people, keep those hands raised and lower them if need be, how many people have brought someone new to the range? How many people have put a fence sitter on the range? How many people have really sat there and educated those people that may be in a marginalized community, your LGBT, your other faiths and community, your other areas of ethnicities, places that don't have a voice because they don't understand their rights because of Jim Crow era laws that still exist? How many people are going out and actually getting people involved? Okay? That's what we need to do, guys. This is a numbers game, and this is also something that's very near and dear to my heart. You guys may have seen my essay of how to prevent violence, guys. Okay, so this is really simple. Why don't we focus on being a human being again? What I want us to do is, if you have a coworkers that are having a bad day, I want you to go out and say, hey, look, let's sit down and chat and find out what really is the root cause of these things. Go and be a human being. Go and actually sit down and actually talk with these people before they turn into what turned into Building 2. I live 2.9 miles away from Building 2, and I had friends that were harmed in that. I have friends that are dealing with mental anguish because of those events, and those friends also know people that passed away to those things. We had a tent set up from my church that actually sat there and grieved with the folks. This is about guns today, but the thing is we want to make sure is that we're going out and going into the community and making sure that you're actually going and being a careful person. Shouting and yelling is not going to do anything to these politicians. What you want to do is engage in discourse. Discourse is what a republic is founded on. It's okay. The other side want safer communities, most of them. In all truth and reality, they do want safer communities. How they go about it is not the right way we look at it in our eyes. But let's go and sit down with them. Some of those people are actually very understandably upset. We need to go and say, hey, this is what we want. This is why universal background checks don't work. This is why red flag laws are dangerous and deadly and kill people. This is why assault weapons bans don't work. Look, we have people, I have friends all over the world who can tell you that assault weapons bans, they're overseas. For example, in France, I'm sure some of you guys may know, there was a party that left in about 1945, left behind all their guns. Guess what? Those aren't registered. There's 9 million unregistered guns that are sitting around, just some guys left in about 1945. They don't register them, they don't care. That's the thing, is that we need to get out there that these registration schemes do not work. These red flag laws do not work. All of the listed stuff, but we need to go out and do it in a polite and good way. Now, one other question, I also run the Reddit page for VCDL. How many here are here today because of Reddit? Not gonna be a ton. Thank you. Thank you. So the other thing is, get on your social media and engage in discourse and things along those lines. Get your younger friends involved. I'm a 29-year-old guy who owns an IT company, not your typical old white guy with a shotgun. So I really want you guys to get out there and be informed, be active, and keep on doing the good fight. So thank you guys all. You guys have been excellent. I appreciate it. And Phil, turn it over to you.
The next speaker is the Senior Vice President of an organization that VCDL has long been friendly with. These guys were there when VCDL was the NVCDL, the Northern Virginia Citizens Defense League, way back in 94, 95. Kind of gave us ideas, along with our founder, Paul Moog over here to my right, that helped form this organization and helped, eventually we ended up being what we are today. I've known the speaker's father for quite a while too. He was the head of the organization for quite a while, many years. And his son has picked up the mantle, and I think he's doing a great job. So the next speaker is Eric Pratt with Gun Owners of America.
Thank you, Phil. Patriots of Virginia, how are we doing today? Thank you for being here at the Richmond Capitol. This is really important. This is a great day for liberty. At least it is because you guys are here. This is really important stuff. Did you talk some sense into those guys over there? Did you? Did you tell them that we don't need more gun control, that what we need is politician control? I hope you told them that we will remember in November. We are, right? All right, there we go. So we are here today because of Governor Blackface Northam.
Oh, Coon Man.
My friend Maj Touré is going to be speaking in just a few moments, and he's going to talk to you about how gun control is racist in its origins and application, and that's what this governor is pushing. He wants to use the Virginia Beach tragedy to push his own agenda to restrict our Second Amendment protected rights. Never let a crisis go to waste. Have you ever heard those words, right? Remember that from the Obama administration? That's the motto of anti-gun Democrats today. Never let a tragedy go to waste, certainly like the one in Virginia Beach. The governor wants to make you less safe. He wants to make you more dependent on government for your protection. So he has a long list of restrictions that he wants to impose. For example, the governor says that universal background checks are going to make us safer. Do you believe that? No way. How well did that work in Virginia Beach? We all know the killer passed at least one background check, if not more. In fact, if you look at the mass shootings that have occurred in this century, you would be hard-pressed to think of a mass shooting where the shooter didn't pass a background check. So how are background checks going to make us any safer? But that's not all. The governor wants to ban those evil assault weapons. Did anybody tell the governor that the killer in Virginia Beach used 2 handguns? You just can't make this stuff up. See, that doesn't matter to the governor because you never let a tragedy go to waste. Then the governor also wants to repeal the the preemption law. He wants local governments to be able to impose their own local gun bans. But of course, the problem is not that we have too little gun control. The problem is that gun control is costing lives. If it wasn't for the Virginia Beach ban on city employees carrying firearms, have you heard of Kate Nixon?
Yeah.
Yes.
She would have had a gun that day. She told her husband she wanted to bring a gun to work that day because she was concerned about this guy who ended up being the killer, but she chose not to because she was worried about the local gun ban, which could result in her getting fired. So sadly, that decision to leave her gun at home was a fatal one for her and 11 other people. You know, like the shooting at Virginia Beach, almost 98% of the public mass shootings in this country occur where?
In gun-free zones.
Gun-free zones, that's right. And of course, that's not making people any safer, is it? They just become a magnet for criminals. I mean, look, let's face it. Bad guys don't go shoot up police stations or gun shows. They want to be where they're the only one with a gun. So they choose gun-free zones. And so here's the travesty. Kate Nixon was forced to choose between her job and her life. And that is a choice that no one should ever have to make. Are you with me on that?